air pollution is the second most important risk factor for non-communicable diseases, according to the WHO. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Wellbeing. My name is Madison,
My name is Rachel.
and today we're talking about air purifiers, air quality, indoor air quality, all the things.
All the things. I know I say this every week, but like I just was blown away by the research on this again.
Hmm.
Like a few things where it was just like jaw dropping. Like, are you joking me? How is this possible? It's just, I know we say this every week, and I don't know why I'm still surprised every week,
Hmm.
but I am. And this holds true with
Yeah,
this.
I agree.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I we are recording this as the fires in Los Angeles are going on, and
Hmm.
I am from California. And a lot of my friends are involved in like this fire, getting evacuated, friends of family. So if that is you, I am so sorry. I am sending all the good vibes, thoughts, prayers, all the things to you. And also if is you, whether I mean whenever goes out, like whether the fires are still going on or not, um, the air quality impacts you long term. And I also live in a wildfire state now. I live in Wyoming. There's wildfires often,
Yeah.
and that air quality from the outside can get stuck inside. And more often than not, the indoor air quality of your house or your office or wherever you go is worse than the outdoor air quality. So making
Hmm.
sure you have something to filter
Hmm.
your air is really, really important. And then
Yeah.
something that I was looking for, and then I will shut up for now. Right before we pressed play on this was something from Natalie, who spoke to us about genetics and genetic testing and Alzheimer's and stuff. And she always has a cool genetic thing that is related to current events. So this is what her story says right now. If you don't follow her yet, it's at Golden Genetics Health. We love her. And it says, for those impacted by wildfire smoke, consider taking N-acetylcysteine or NAC. Wildfire smoke creates oxidative stress, which is when your cells are overwhelmed by harmful molecules called free radicals, and inflammation, which is the body's immune response that can irritate airways and cause damage. NAC can help because studies show that it helps thin and loosen mucus, making it easier to clear from the lungs. Research shows it improves cough efficiency, supports airway clearance, reduces excess mucus in conditions like chronic bronchitis and COPD, while maintaining mucus's protective functions. And then she listed a bunch of PM IDs 2801859537400021 and 298462242. So now I've cited my sources too. And it can also help detox harmful toxins and can help reduce long-term risks like DNA damage and cancer from smoke, which is so cool.
So cool. I love that she
So
posted that.
me too.
That feels very on point with her though.
I
She's
love
just,
her.
yeah, she's the coolest.
She really is.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you don't follow her, please go follow her. And
yes,
I'm gonna
definitely.
screen record this and send it to all my friends in LA.
I think I was so while looking up research on air purifiers and different
Hmm.
brands yesterday too, I saw a few of the brands that we will talk about later are also offering discounts right now because of the
Oh,
fires, like 10%, 15% off. So that's pretty cool.
that is pretty cool.
If you're somebody that's being affected by that. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So, the craziest fact, non-related to wildfires, that we found about air quality is that air pollution is the second most important risk factor for non-communicable diseases, according to the WHO,
Hmm.
the World Health
Yes.
Organization. That's crazy.
Yes. And apparently linked to around 7 million deaths in 2012, also according to the WHO, which is crazy.
That is
You don't think about that.
absolutely crazy. No, you
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. And this was really good to know because both of us, like you said, live in states where wildfires are prominent. This is coming from, I used to live in Wisconsin where this was not an issue that we had to deal with at all.
Hmm.
But moving to Colorado, this is something that every single summer we have an issue with this, where like the
Hmm.
air quality is really like there's warnings on your weather app about like not going outside because due to the air quality. So this was really good to look into. And then also, like you mentioned, how that outside can affect your indoor air quality. Um, and so, yeah, hence enter the air purifier topic.
Absolutely. I think a lot of us think about like what foods we take in and what are we drinking water? Is it filtered? Things like that.
Mm.
But we don't realize that we take 20,000 breaths every day,
That is crazy.
which is so much air.
Hmm.
And that's 12 to 15 times a minute, which is 7.5 million breaths per year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I want to know
Uh,
how many liters of air we breathe. 11, at least 11,000 liters of air per day.
so much. That's a good trivia
Yeah,
question,
it
knowledge. Like
is.
tuck that somewhere safe because you'll impress somebody one day with that.
Totally.
But that is crazy. Like when you think about the biggest bang for your buck of what you can change in your life. I know we talk about the kitchen because you cook every day. We talk about the bedroom because you sleep, obviously, a good chunk of your day, but also this is a really good one relating to how much obviously you breathe all day. And if you work from home, I mean, but otherwise you
Yeah,
spend most people spend most of their day at home.
absolutely. And I know Jasper, which is one of the air quality or air purifier brands that we like, did a 4 week study where they conducted a 4 week period split into distinct phases where baseline was used. They used Aura rings, people who already had Aura rings and had like a history of their sleep on their Aura ring for a certain number of months. They studied uh, sleep stages, sleep duration, sleep latency, which is how long it takes someone to go to sleep, and overall sleep quality. Week 1 was baseline, no air purifier use. Weeks 2 and 3, they used the Jasper air purifier, and week 4, they stopped again using it. And they found that on average, participants gained 25 more minutes of sleep per night with the air purifier running. There was an 18% increase in sleep duration, and deep sleep is in deep sleep, sorry, an 18% increase in deep sleep duration, and participants fell asleep approximately 5 minutes faster with cleaner air than they did
Wow.
without the air purifier running.
I love me a good study like that. That is
Hmm.
super interesting.
Super interesting. And
And
I won't
like kind of immediate effects.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. And
Normally it's
like
like over time, but that's pretty crazy.
it's pretty cool. And I love this because it's again, yeah, it's something that you can do immediately. And also, increasing your sleep is going to help you reduce weight if you need to lose weight. It's going to help you recover better. It's going to help you gain more muscle. It's going to help you think more clearly. It's going
Mm.
to help you do all of the things that you need to do. Like sleep is
Hmm.
so, so important. It's going to
Yeah.
give you less dizziness, less migraine attacks if you're in my
Hmm.
world. It's going to
Hmm.
help you reduce your inflammation. It does everything.
Yeah,
And so
it
if you
heals
can
your
find a way,
body
it really does. If you
and
can
your
find a way to
mind.
do that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
so
so
cool.
true.
So
Um,
I love that
that's a
advice.
really
And
cool study. I love that. Yeah.
mhm,
I'm also seeing like another statistic from the World Health Organization talking about that 3.8 million deaths are actually premature due to indoor air quality, like including stroke, ischemic heart disease, chronic COPD, and lung
mhm.
cancer, that are actually attributed to exposure to household air pollution.
Oh my
So
gosh.
they recommend air cleaners and filters as a suggested strategy to improve indoor air quality. But yeah, that's super crazy. Like in addition to things like sleeping better and just like overall like wellness things that improve like how you feel and like your day to day, it also helps with like some of these really scary, like bigger um, diseases and diagnoses that
Hmm.
are prevalent and could cause like could exacerbate what you're currently feeling or even just like premature death, which is so serious. But it's yeah, it's kind of it's crazy the more that
It is
you
really
read.
crazy. It
I
is
also
absolutely
know,
crazy.
so obviously, like you were talking about indoor air quality, so that the air quality in our homes are
Hmm.
affected by things like outdoor air quality. So living
Hmm.
somewhere like where we are at, obviously, like if you open the windows, like that air from the outside gets into your house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's affected by outdoor air quality, human activity in the building. So like basically in your home, this is different like products that you use, cleaning products, which if you haven't listened to our cleaning podcast yet, we talk all about cleaning supplies and what is recommended by the American Lung Association, which is was shocking for me. But just common cleaning supplies that you're using that those can be toxic and really affect the air quality. And then just other things that we've talked about, I think a ton of times, like fragrances, and then
Mm-hmm.
also cooking, like with different kinds of pans or oils or whatever you're doing, that can
Mm-hmm.
affect the air quality as well. And then lastly, that affects your air quality in your home is the materials of your home and then furniture, things that you're putting in your home.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about a lot of that stuff, especially in the bedroom in our Refreshing the Bedroom podcast. So check that one out if you want more information on those.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, really, it's a combination of all those things, and you can't ever just like keep your home perfect and not at risk to exposure of any of these things because obviously you have to cook and obviously like you are susceptible to whatever the air is like outside. But there are things you can do to help clean up um, the air in your home so that it's like filtered and refreshed. And yeah, that is why we're touching on the air purifier movement.
That was such a great overview. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
No, it's really so, so, so important.
Mhm.
Um, when you're looking for an air purifier, now that we know everyone probably needs one, because if you don't have one, your lungs are filtering the air,
Yeah.
and we don't want that.
And especially
Um,
if you're someone with like asthma or
100%.
allergies, like this is especially for you. Like if
Hmm.
you, even if you're someone, I don't really have issues that I've noticed like with air quality. Like I don't really get like, I don't know, not that I've noticed at least, like where I get like throat scratchy or anything like that.
Hmm.
Either way, if you're one of these people, still, it's still really beneficial
I think
for
so
your
too. And
lungs.
also, if you have a chronic illness, I know a lot of people listening have vestibular disorders. If you have a chronic illness, and we want to think about this from a holistic standpoint, which we should be, everyone should be. I don't care if you want to take meds or don't take meds. Everyone needs to think about this comprehensively. Filling your toxin bucket is something that isn't impacting you, whether it's your skincare, whether
Mm,
it's, I don't know, artificial dyes or whatever. Air also matters. And so if you
mm,
can do this and make even some part of your day easier, especially if you're living in mold, which is a different thing we need to talk about at some point. We should have
mhm.
someone on here to talk about that.
We should. Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
all of these things matter. So
Yeah.
when you're looking for one, you want to check the CADR, which is the clean air delivery rate, which is basically the standard for measuring how well an air cleaner moves pollutants from the air per minute or per hour. And it's usually measured in cubic feet, which is volume. And so you need to know not, I listened to a podcast with the founder of Jasper on it a couple of different times on different, a couple of times on a couple of different podcasts. And he was saying that like most brands of air purifiers measure based on square footage, but in reality, it should be based on volume because not like I have in this room 10-foot ceilings. My house is
Mhm.
8-foot ceilings. Some people in that I know have some rooms with 25-foot ceilings. And
Yeah.
so you need to base that like we can't all have the same number of air purifiers in our house even if it's in one room because you have so much more air moving through that room on a regular basis. So the higher the CADR means that the air cleaner is more efficient at removing pollutants from the air. So it's important to factor this in when you are choosing an air purifier for
Mhm.
any room, office, etc. Does
Yes.
that make sense?
That makes total sense. And that is actually something that I didn't even think about when we were looking for an air purifier. Because, yeah, you just think about the square footage, you totally forget about how high the ceilings are and like how much
Exactly.
actual air is in the room. So that makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad you
Awesome.
brought that up. Yeah.
Then the next thing is you need to look up what type of filter is in there. And I prefer both carbon and HEPA if that's an option. The
Hmm.
interesting thing I found about a carbon filter is that it needs to go usually before the HEPA filter. because you want to make sure that any flyaways of carbon particles aren't coming off of the charcoal filter. And so if the charcoal filter, which is absorbing a lot of VOCs, are falling off, then it will go into the HEPA filter. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
A HEPA filter is a high efficiency particulate air filter, and these filters are used to remove microorganisms and particulates from the air. They remove at least 99.97% of airborne particles that are zero point 0.3 microns in size or larger, which is so tiny, but not every single thing is going to get absorbed by that. Um, Particles that are smaller are not going to get trapped even at greater efficiency or and then at larger. So some air filter companies, and I don't love this, will say like we have a special type of HEPA filter. There's just HEPA. Like there's not a special type, if that makes sense. So if someone is like, we have a better HEPA filter than someone else, they're lying to you. And I don't like sleazy marketing, so I wouldn't buy that.
So basically,
Um,
they all filter the same size of particles if it
exactly.
is branded as a HEPA filter.
Exactly.
So it's like yours isn't better than, yeah.
Yeah. What's cool is that you can also find HEPA filters in air conditioning systems, heating systems,
Hmm.
and in vacuum cleaners. So if you are a pretty sensitive person, especially if you're sensitive to dust or you have MCAS or something like that, then a HEPA filter, AC, vacuum cleaner, etc., could also be really cool
Hmm.
to use as well. And
Yes.
then carbon gets a lot of like volatile organic compounds or VOCs that we talk about.
Hmm.
Um, so it sort of just depends on what exactly you need and what type.
Right. Like the carbon is, so you need the HEPA.
Hmm.
Everybody needs the HEPA. And then we'll get into, yeah, the ones that you don't need. But everyone should look for a HEPA filter in their air fryer. Air fryer. I keep saying that. Air purifier. Oh my gosh. Okay. Air purifier. But the carbon is an extra filter that you can get that's available in some air purifiers that helps filter out even filter out more pollutants, right? So like basically from what I found, it's like if you have higher or are exposed to like higher levels of gas in your home, like it filters out more things like that. So maybe if like you're somebody that has like we don't have gas at our house, we only have electric. So like we can't even run like a gas stove or anything like that. So maybe it's like not as important for us to look into something like that as is if you have a home that has gas and run a gas stove, or maybe even like compare, even like if you live somewhere where the air quality maybe is known to be worse than other parts of the US, or you live in a city or something like that where there's more pollutants outside, this might be a good option to versus like if you live in the middle of the woods or something like that where there's not as many pollutants outside. Um,
Totally.
cool.
One
Okay.
thing about the Air Doctor air purifier is that it's in layers. So I have both. I own an Air Doctor, I own a Jasper, I own a Medify. I own them all, guys. So at this point, I will say the Medify one got sent to me for free. I paid for the other two. I do have an affiliate relationship with the Jasper one, if just for all clarity purposes. Um, but the thing about the Air Doctor that I like the most is that it has a pre-filter, a carbon filter, and a HEPA filter. So the pre-filter gets out like dog hair and big pieces of dust and stuff like that. And then the carbon or the charcoal carbon filter gets the VOCs, and then the HEPA filter gets the HEPA things. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I like that has pre-filter, carbon filter, regular filter. But it does say
Mhm.
ultra HEPA, and most of them have ionizers, which I keep off under
Mhm.
all circumstances.
Most air filters have ionizers.
This air filter,
Oh,
the
okay.
Air Doctor
The
and
air
also
doctor one.
Medify both have ionizers, which I don't like at all. And I turn them off and hope that they're actually off. Some person told me that they're nervous that it doesn't actually turn itself off and that it's just always on and it's tricking you. But I'm going to go with
Mm.
if I say it's off because I can't fathom a different option. That
That's
makes sense.
interesting. Yes, it does. I also, so if you are someone that already has an air purifier, I'm going to say air fryer so many times. I don't know what my deal is. Air purifier. If you're somebody that has one and you want to check if it's legit, also you can check the California Air Resources Board, and I'll link this in the show notes. But you can go on there and check what kind of air fryer. Gosh, I'm gonna stop saying it. What kind of purifier you have. And it'll tell you like what type you have, which is mechanical or like what we're talking electrical, and we'll get into that. You want to stick to the mechanical, like Maddie is saying. And it also you can check and make sure that it's been approved by this board that it is listed as safe. So like some, if they're electronic, could still be listed as safe, but they have to produce less than like 0.050 parts per million, um, which is 50 parts per billion to be constituted as safe. But then they also check the mechanical ones to be constituted as safe. So you can go on there and check and see what you have. That doesn't necessarily, I did this with our air purifier. And I think we will get a new one, but the one that we have is mechanical, which is great. It does have a HEPA filter, which is great. Um, the only thing that I couldn't find on it was the MERV rating, like the MERV rating, which is I know they listed that is basically how big of particles it can filter out. So they recommend that you want at least a 13 or higher. So I think that runs like 13 to the 16 range. Otherwise, anything 12 and lower is not filtering out enough. Like the parts per million particle size that it filters isn't small enough. So that is a good thing to look for
Interesting.
too.
But all
Yeah,
HEPA technically should be
should filter that.
13 to 17. All
Okay.
HEPA should,
So if you
according to.
do have one with a HEPA, then it should
Hmm.
filter that. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So if you don't, then that's a good thing to check too.
Hmm.
But if you don't have one with a HEPA filter, we can talk about why you should probably ditch that
Hmm.
and swap it
I
out.
think, yeah, I think if you're looking online and you're like, okay, I'm gonna get an air purifier and you're on Amazon and you're just buying the cheapest one, I think rather than doing that, save your money and later down the line when you can afford a better one, I would do that instead because I always say with air purifiers, it's definitely a get what you pay for kind of a
Hmm.
situation. Like the better one you buy, the I think there's probably a max out, like the one that's $7,000. I don't even know if they make them that expensive. Probably isn't better than one that's $1,000 or $800. But the ones at that like $600 to $800 price point are going to be better than the $100 ones
Hmm.
and will make a
Definitely.
difference.
Yeah, and I think even the three that you mentioned, the Medify, the
Air
whatever
Doctor
Air
and
Doctor,
Jasper. Yeah,
are three ranges of price too. Like
totally.
which is helpful because Jasper's going to be the most expensive on
Yep.
that range, like in the $1,000 range, right?
Yeah. I think with
Um,
a discount, which they do discounts on podcasts. I have one. They're doing one right now for the fires. Like it's usually either 8.99 or 9.99, even though it's listed at 13.99. It never actually costs that. So make sure you're
okay.
using a
Look
discount
for
code
a
if you
coup.
get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Air Doctor is the same thing. I don't have a discount code for this one. I can find you one. They're all over the place. Like Organi Mama online has one. We could try and get one too,
We
and
can
we'll
try and
list
get
it.
one.
We're
Yeah.
gonna try and get so many discount codes for you guys.
We're gonna get all of it. Yeah, we're
We're
gonna be
gonna get
persistent.
persistent,
Yes.
exactly. And then Medify is like a cheaper brand of a really good one, um, as well.
Yeah. And I think the Air Doctor
Purse.
one
Hmm.
looks like you can get two. They sell
Hmm.
them in sets
Yeah, and
for
they go
like
on sale like
580.
quarterly.
Perfect. I think
Yeah,
they're on sale right now. But you can
probably.
get two for like 580, and then the Medify one, like you can get one in the $100 range or
Hmm.
$50
I
if it's
have
a
a cheaper
smaller.
Medify one under this desk right now. It's really, I can show you, it's really tiny,
Okay.
but it needs a new filter, but it's small.
Yeah. Cool.
And I just have it, it's my office one. Um, but yeah.
Okay. And then it looks like, yeah, so it looks like Medify, like as they go up in filters, like they have
Hmm.
H13, and then like as they go up to like an H14, it's like a little bit more expensive. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay, but there's options for everybody,
Yeah.
honestly.
I've
But
also heard really good things about Austin Air. I have
okay.
never tried it. I've never used it. I just hear good things about it.
Hmm,
So,
cool.
yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have chatted about what to look for in an air purifier. You can check out, I'll drop these brands too in the
Mhm.
bottom, and like we're working on trying to get discount codes for you guys, so we will try and work on that. But if, and hopefully we have them by the time this releases, but we will see. Um,
Mhm.
I'll drop the three that we talked about, and then the other things just to remember if you are not interested in these three or you already have one to check is make sure it has a HEPA filter.
Mhm.
If you want to be extra thorough, you can also make sure it has the carbon filter as
Mhm.
well, like Maddie mentioned. And then you want to also make sure that it is covering the square footage, the volume of your room, and not just
Mhm.
like the floor, whatever the square footage of the floor is. You have to
Mhm.
account for ceiling space.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally. The
Yes.
last thing that I wanted to talk about is the ionizer, which I kind of touched on for a second, but
Yeah.
ionizers are supposed to take stuff out of the air electrically. The problem is that when you do it, it makes ozone, which is a large irritant to the lungs and actually can make the air quality worse. And so if your air purifier has an ionizer on it, please make sure that it is off. I own an air purifier with an ionizer. I own a Jasper. I think it's like, or not, Air Doctor 3500. I also own a Jasper and a Medify. I own them all. Um, so if you have that, I really, really, really recommend turning it off because it's likely making it stickier in your lungs and irritating your lungs through ozone.
Hmm. So basically, instead of like using, or maybe they do both, but instead of using the filter to filter out the bad stuff, they're releasing something in the air that is supposed to get rid
Exactly.
of it. But I think
Exactly.
from what I've heard, it can combine with certain pollutants that are in your
Mm-hmm.
air to create ozone, which is actually worse
Exactly.
for you than the
Exactly.
pollutants that were in the air,
Mm-hmm.
which like
Exactly.
classic,
Classic.
like
Classic marketing.
trying to
Um,
get rid of something that's there instead of fixing the
yeah,
issue that
exactly.
begin with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I had one more thing to say about this, but I don't
Yes.
remember. Um, Jasper has on their FAQ page about how much area does it cover. So definitely look into that as well. Because it will like the CADR or the air changes per hour will change based on how much it's running. And then I also like to tell people that Air Doctor and some other companies will say that like every month you should vacuum your pre-filter, but that's just re-putting like just throw it away and order a new one, please.
Mm, yeah.
Because it's just like re-putting those pollutants into your house. And then also like it will always potentially say excellent or green or whatever that air quality monitor is on yours. Like Air Doctor has one, Jasper has one, whatever. Um, but if you start to move stuff around, and that dust flies into the air, um, it might not have detected because it's not like a vacuum. It's not picking stuff off the floor. It's getting things out of the air. So when you sweep, when you vacuum, like if it's not on automatic, turn that thing up. Make it
Mm,
uh like on high speed when you're cleaning because then it will get those pollutants out.
I love that tip. That's a really good one. Um, I think too, like, I think this was on my Instagram post today about like, why does no one tell you these things? And why are these things like, why is that even available for purchase? And it's scary. And I feel like that goes back to why we started this podcast. But basically, I looked it up, and the EPA, the federal states that the federal government does not have anything published about guidelines or standards for use in determining how well an air cleaner works in removing pollutants from the air. Basically, the standards focus only on particle remover, and there's no guidelines or standards available for like comparing one air cleaner to another from like the EPA level or the federal government level. So that's why obviously we're doing this podcast and talking about things that you should look for. And just because it's for sale on the market And like say it's like a $20 one from Amazon, like that is all of us only want to spend $20 on something like this. 100%. I totally feel like that $1,000 is a lot for an air purifier. And I don't have that air purifier. I will probably spend on like a little bit less one. But it's just like really good to point out that there are, as a consumer, you just have to be aware of everything. And it totally sucks. Like it totally sucks. But yeah, that's why we're hopefully providing all this education so that if you want to buy one of the three we talked about, or if you want to do your own research, you totally can. But just know that just because it's available on the market doesn't mean that it's going to be helpful, safe, and like purifying your air.
Totally.
Yeah. Which makes me sad, honestly.
It's so frustrating.
It's so
Um,
frustrating.
there you go. But we recommend getting an air purifier in your house for sure. I think if you're going to take one thing away from today, I think it's that you take a lot of breaths every day. And if you're not filtering the air, like you don't have to do this outside, like you don't need to bring a HEPA air purifier everywhere you go, but the places that you spend the most amount of time, so maybe it's around your desk at work and your house, get an air purifier there. And if you're like, my house is large, but I can't afford to have one in every room, move it around with you, um, or just put it in your bedroom where you sleep.
Yeah, definitely. I love that tip. I think my favorite from today too is that make sure to go onto the website that we talked about, the California board
Yes.
website, and check if you do have an air purifier, check and make sure that it is a mechanical one and it's not an electric one because you could be doing more harm with your air purifier being on if it is releasing like those ionizing particles and creating ozone. So just make sure to go check that. And it's better to just turn that off and only have the HEPA setting on or just get rid of it and replace it with a new one when you can, instead of running it.
Yes,
That's
totally.
crazy to me. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah, this is good. I really need to know all this stuff
Me
about,
too.
and I was like relieved when I checked our air purifier. I was like, thank God. But
Because they are
it's crazy.
expensive. And
They are.
honestly, you can find them on like Facebook Marketplace for people who are moving, who aren't wanting to take theirs with them, or maybe get one secondhand. Like there's a lot of ways that you can go about this without paying full price. We are obviously very far from Black Friday, but people in the physical product space love a sale. Love a
Hmm.
sale.
Yeah.
So um wait until it's on sale, honestly. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah,
These are like great gifts too. I feel like for a birthday,
totally.
like especially like combination, like if I don't know, like your parents and your husband and like your whatever family just want to go in and get you something, like these are make such great things to like put on your birthday list when you're like, oh, I don't know what to ask for. Maybe I'll just ask for like something new that I'll maybe throw away in like a year, or, like get rid of in a year. This is something that
Totally.
you will have for so long. So
They last
yeah,
forever. And like
yeah.
one of Jasper's selling points is that like it's
Mhm.
made out of steel and will last forever, which I love. But I don't see why if you don't take care of a plastic one like an air doctor, it won't last forever too. It should if you
Yeah.
take care of it.
Yeah. I think I saw on Jasper too, they have a lifetime warranty.
They do, and they'll send you a new one, boom, like that if it stops working.
That's amazing.
It is
Because then you're
amazing.
like, okay, I'm gonna own this literally my whole life. And if
100%.
it breaks, I just get a new one, which is
Hmm.
amazing.
It
Yeah.
is. So yeah,
Yeah. Cool.
the founder is really cool. Cool. Thanks so much for
Yay.
listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening.
Talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.